Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Walter Lopez. I'm here with Mr. Dennis Brown, and we'll be having a conversation today. Hello, Mr. Dennis Brown. How are you doing?
Real well. Pleasure to be here, Walter.
Pleasure to be here with you. You are an Alumni Hall of Fame inductee, so congratulations.
Thank you so much, and very proud of it, too.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a couple questions for you today, and I'll start with, in your own words, can you define mentorship and what it means to you?
Well, mentorship, I think for me, is really about connection, and the interaction between people who are in a mentorship relationship, and how it can impact both parties, the mentor and the mentee, in a positive way, in a way that is life-changing oftentimes, because what comes from that relationship really is something that affects a person and stays with them.
Right. So I read that you were one of the first matches out there in Hawaii with Mr. Henry Sumida.
Yes.
So could you talk a bit about that? How he was, like you said, he was more of a friend, like that type of relationship.
Yes, we were the very first to be matched in Hawaii, and I often tell people that Henry's influence on me was not something where he did a lot of lecturing or tried to convince me to do certain things. He was really an example for me, example of being a strong individual male. I didn't have a dad, and he helped me because I was so angry about my parents' divorce and about never being able to see my dad again because we were separated by thousands of miles. And so that influence inspired me. He didn't talk about it, but it inspired me later on, many years later, to go into a career in human services that eventually led me to be the longest-serving CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Hawaii.
That's amazing. That's really
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
And so, kind of connecting with that, why do you think it's important for youth to have a mentor?
Oh, so many reasons. And it doesn't have to be a youth who went through trauma necessarily. It's just great to connect with someone, I think, on a personal level, someone who is a friend,
Right.
and also and can be a good example, a good role model, as
Right.
we used to call them. And it just enriches the lives of both individuals, I think.
As you said, you were the CEO in Hawaii. What can you say was the most impactful story or something that you experienced while you were the CEO over in Hawaii?
Overall, I would say so many stories of individual youth like myself,
Right.
who I got to see start as young as 6 years old, stay in the program. We honor some of our what we call lifetime matches,
Right.
who have been in relationships that started in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program for 30, 40 years. Henry and I are an example of that. Until he passed away in 2011, we were friends and still colleagues. He was on the board of directors,
Oh, wow.
Big Brothers Big Sisters, still mentoring me along the way. So I think the stories of those relationships that went far beyond the formal program of Big Brothers Big Sisters, because the two individuals had become so close, and just so many stories like that. And then to see where they ended up and how they are able to articulate the way that that mentoring relationship affected them, their lives.
Right. So it seems it's more of like nurturing a lifelong relationship.
That's
of-
what I think.
Yeah. To have someone who can see you grow, that you can relate to, and just experience, like you with Mr. Sumida, like really long time that you were, and you had him be your mentor even when you were an adult.
That's true, yeah. And it's not even about how long the formal match was. We weren't even matched longer than 2 years,
Right.
but it stayed with me. And to Henry's credit, he stayed in touch with me
Right.
all that time too.
Yeah.
We stayed in touch with each other, but he was the lead on that. So I think the impact is so strong that a young child doesn't necessarily realize it at the time, but as I did in my early 20s, woke up one day and saw where I was and what I had accomplished and reflected on how I got there. And one of the things that really stood out was that short-term relationship with Henry, who stayed in touch with me though all those years, went from being a formal mentor to a friend, lifelong friend.
Right. That's amazing. That's truly amazing. Like I said, you will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Congrats on that. So what does that mean to you, being with all this time that you've been with the organization?
It's has so much meaning to me. I was the first little brother in Hawaii, and I'm told that I'm now the first staff person being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So that's especially meaningful to me because I feel like I represent a network of individuals who work so hard every day and make a difference in the lives of so many youth and mentors and families. So for me, it's an honor and a privilege. I feel very, very fortunate to have been in the program and then to have been selected and able to serve for 25 years as the CEO in Hawaii. And so being able to have given back, but also being recognized for that. And again, I say that on behalf of all the other staff persons in the network.
Right. And finally, would you like to share anything about what this program, like what you envision for this program in the future, or like mentor or mentee connections?
I'm really inspired by the leadership of Artis Stevens, the board of directors, and the national office. Having been in the organization for 25 years, formerly as CEO, I've seen a lot of change, and what I see now is a lot of hopefulness for the future, that things we weren't able to do in the last decade or so because of the pandemic and other situations are going to come to fruition. They've already started. So I see a bright, bright future for Big Brothers Big Sisters, many, many more children to be able to be served, and a lot of that is due to the innovation that the national office and the member agencies are bringing to the table, and the recognition that that innovation is important, that it's nice to be a 120-year-old organization, but you don't have to do everything the same way you did it for 120 years. You know, they're newer and better ways to do things. So I'm really hopeful, and I see a lot of potential for Big Brothers Big Sisters to just thrive even more in the future.
That sounds like I agree with you. I see this organization growing a lot, maybe more than 120 years. I hope it really does. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Mr. Brown. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Same here. Always a pleasure to talk to another former little brother and to see you where you are today, being able to do what you're doing too. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I've been Walter Lopez, and see you soon.